Welcome to Soap, a story of the Tates and the Campbells, whose normal life is anything but normal, with co-hosts Tom Diamond, Vicky Ray, Jesse Fultz, and Keith Chowgo. Soap operas come and go, but there has never been a soap opera like Soap.
And welcome to the Literary License Podcast today, where we are continuing our soap retrospective. This is season 2, episode 34 to 49. And today we just have Keith Chowgo and my little old self, Vicky Ray. And before we get started, we'd like to see what all two of us have been up to since the last time we talked. What's going on, Keith?
Not a lot going on here. Been watching bits and bobs, watching Creep Show on Shudder, which I'm really enjoying. Of course, we did some advertisement for it in our newsletter this month. Got the newsletter out, and what else have I been doing? Sorting out my bank because I've been hacked, and they cleared my bank account out, which I'm dealing with that.
People are assholes.
And besides that, not a lot, just watching bits and bobs, watching Chucky, which I'm really loving the TV series of Chucky. And,
I haven't started that yet.
It's good. I'm enjoying it.
A lot of people are singing its praises, though. Everybody says it's really good.
Yeah. I think out of the film franchises, and I've said this over and over, I think Child's Play is probably the most cohesive film franchise. That's what I quite like about it.
Yeah, it's not
and I
bad.
love how they keep bringing them all back, we got Fiona Dourif back in it from, the last 2 movies. Jennifer Tilly's back in it.
Oh, she is back.
Yeah, she's in it. Tiffany's there. So it continues on from the last movie, which is fantastic. Because normally they forget about everything. Let's start over again.
Nothing like a little continuity.
Let's start over again. So, and I love it. I love that they keep it going. So, yeah, but that's about it, really. Not a lot going on. Getting ready for Halloween, which probably just going to stay home and watch a bunch of horror movies. So, yeah,
I've already started doing that. We're getting ready for Halloween here too. And what was I watching the other night ago? Oh, Dead Snow 1 and 2. You can't get, and zombies, they're kind of worn and beat down on, but you can't get any scarier than Nazi zombies. Those have to be the most oppressive, scary, meanest, nastiest, skankiest zombies on the planet. And it's just well done. It's just the second one's almost better than the first one.
We don't get too many Nazi stuff anymore. We just get so many of them, but now it's very rare to get Nazi movies.
Yeah, but zombie Nazis, you get kind of burnt out on zombies, but zombie Nazis, I love both movies. I don't know if you've watched them, but they're excellent. You have to
I haven't actually watched it all the way through. I'm gonna watch that this weekend. Do they walk around with easy bake ovens?
No. You're gonna get us in trouble. Other than Dead Snow, I've been watching the Hammer films because those are really great for Halloween. The old, Christopher Lee stuff and that stuff. Boy, back in the day when I used to watch it on Monster Movie Matinee, they were cut. I had no idea how sexually exploitive it would get. Which I don't have no problem with it. I just, there were, kind of makes sense now. Some of it was missing for some reason. Sometimes you need that sexuality in there to make it interesting because vampires are sexual creatures. I'm sorry. They just are.
Monster Movie Matinee also was done on a Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. You know what I mean?
That me and my mom, my little Italian mama, got me started in the horror genre. Little did she know.
My grandmother as well, so.
Yeah. I watched Dune. I watched Creep Show.
What was Dune like? Did you enjoy it?
I liked it, but I'm going to say this, people don't hate me, but I liked the other one was kind of, it incorporated the book. The problem I have with this one is that it's going to this one leads up to all the action. And so this is like 2 hours, 20 minutes, something like that. And although it was brilliantly, filmed. It's beautiful. It's keeping to the novel a lot, but the novel's huge, as everybody knows. And the only problem I got with it is, are they going to make a sequel? And that's where I shout out to my sexy horror people on Facebook, Matthew and them, because a lot of people are disappointed. Are they going to make one? Did I just, get invested in this and they're not going to make the second one? Because people are wondering, they're going off the viability of this one to make a second one, but they almost have to, because you didn't get into all the good stuff. You just got where, the Duke dies, and he takes over the House Atreides, and I kind of miss Sting. The other guy was okay, but I really miss Sting.
Right, in his little gold underwear.
In his little gold underwear, yeah. He had the big fat guy still. He was around. He was disgusting. He was perfect for it. I can't remember his name, but he was brilliant in it, and he's a well-known actor too. It's a beautiful film. I'm just hoping that we didn't get to the part where they're riding the worms and all that stuff. Like in this first one, they kind of incorporated all that, but this one, there's no way you get that whole book in one film. There's just no way, and they never did anything with the other one.
Well, it's quite good because you're going to have to read the book next year in our season.
I've already read it.
I'm teasing. I'm not going to do that to you.
I'll kill you if you do. I read Dune Messiah back in the day. I read them all. I had a friend in college handed me all these books. Here, read these. You're going to love them. It's like, okay, well, I'm writing a thesis to graduate, but I'll read all these anyway. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't bad. I didn't hate it. It didn't have a lot of substance, I think, was the problem. People were expecting more, and you're not going to get more until the second film.
I think the problem with like a 2-story one, unless it's like it was a bit different because all the best stuff's in the beginning, and then the second part of it is kind of stupid, really. When the adults come in and stuff like this.
This has got battery acid. Yeah.
But it's kind of like watching what was it? The last Lord of the Rings film. It's like, because that was divided.
Return of the King.
Yeah, like the first part of it's like, okay, and then of course the second part happens. Like, who the hell's fighting who? I lost interest after. But it's almost like, I think The Hobbit was like that as well, because it's building up everything, and then it ends. So you're on this like, okay,
and you have to wait 2 years. Yeah, you go like the Lord of the Rings is like nothing but human suffering for 2.5 hours. Then you got to wait another 2 years for the second one to come out. And it's
Did you ever watch that film Clerks 2?
Huh?
You ever see that film Clerks 2?
I don't know.
It's with Silent Bob and Jay. And basically what it is basically they're in a fast food restaurant, and like all the young guys are like talking about how great Lord of the Rings are, and they're going, no. And they're having a fight with these people who love Star Wars, right? No, Star Wars.
Oh, no. I've actually seen confrontations like that.
And the Star Wars one goes to the Lord of the Rings people. Lord of the Rings, all of this is about walking. Everyone's walking. Even the trees are walking. So whenever I think of like Lord of the Rings, all I think is like, it's true. Everyone's just walking in these movies. Just walking somewhere.
This is true though. They are walking. Lots of walking. Yes, there is. There was lots of walking in Lord of the Rings. But other than that, we're just getting excited about Halloween, But it's going to be a nice weekend. So, other than that, not a whole lot going on. Trying to start trouble wherever I can. Okay, well, this brings us to scene 1 of our soap introspective, and we're going to start off with Chester. Chester comes home from brain operation, not knowing who he is. He thinks he is Marlena Dietrich, which killed me the whole time. Chester agonizes over his loss of memory and disappears without a trace in his confused condition. He's also thought to be dead, and his family shares memories of him at his funeral. And apparently no one wanted to show up. Everybody said, didn't they say they were sick? No, they had a headache. No one wanted to come to his funeral. Chester is in fact alive and wandering the world aimlessly, currently in Toledo. He manages for a moment to regain his memory, only to be promptly losing it again. He then remembers his name to be Lester Pate. Chester hits his head and regains his memory, and going back to Connecticut. Chester returns home. He reacclimates himself to life in the Tate household, which has got to be hell because it's just chaos and total shitstorm all the time. Poor Chester.
I thought I love the guy who plays Chester. I think he's really, really funny.
Oh my God, I love him. He's great.
He used to appear in a lot of stuff anyway, but it's just he's such an asshole.
But he does it so well where he's a lovable asshole.
Yeah. But he's a fumbling asshole as well, which I quite like as well. And he always thinks he's got it above, and I love the whole wino thing, where Wino stole his clothes and he's
I don't know, but
what's wrong with being a wino? Oh, nothing's wrong with being a wino. Nothing's wrong.
I know he is wandering around aimlessly, so to speak, and he ends up in several different situations. He's a short order cook. What else is he doing? He's a wino. What else did he do?
He's at a homeless shelter where he's talking about that basically he thinks that he's enjoying his pea soup and he thinks everyone around him is poor. It's like, but you're eating there as well. And every time he hits his head, he gets a little bit of his memory, and then he hits his head again and loses it again. But then he ends up in that redneck cafe at the end of the day, and then basically the redneck tells her, "You're looking at my wife." He goes, "No, why would I want to look at that for?" He gets punched in the head, and that's when he gets his memory back.
I think he hits his head. I don't remember I don't know who that guy was that played the. I don't know if he was a redneck or what he was. He looked like kind of a bully. But he was trying to be a short order cook. People say, we want this with toast, sink them and burn them and all this other stuff. And I mean, there are some, if you've ever gone into, I don't know, you probably have, you've been around these parts. You go to a diner like that around here and they have a whole different language. Some of these diners. I want
Adam and Eve on a raft.
Huh?
Adam and Eve on a raft.
I don't even know what that was.
It's fried eggs on toast.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, with bacon. Bacon's the Adam, Eve's the eggs, and the raft is the toast.
That's just like pig Latin as far as I'm concerned.
Or, 1 cup of mud.
Yeah, well, that one goes without saying. But he has to. He comes home
with a little bit, with a squirt, with a little bit of squirt. That's coffee with milk. With a squirt.
Well, he comes up with a squirt. I like how he's trying to sound out his name. Lester Pate, whatever, he goes, "I'm Lester Pate." And Toledo, it's just like, who wants to get stuck in Toledo? Have you been to Toledo lately?
Yeah, I've driven through Ohio. It's one of those, and sorry for any listeners we have in Ohio, but my heart goes out to you. I've driven through Ohio. Yeah, it's quite uneventful actually. I think one of the worst states to go drive through is Kansas.
Yeah,
if you can go from one end of Kansas to the other without falling asleep, you're doing really well because the road's just straight and it's just flat.
Oh, I know. Driving through Kansas is a nightmare sometimes because, you can see a tornado like 20 miles away sometimes in Kansas.
Because it's so flat. And the road, and the thing is like most roads, they curve. So that way, if you're driving, it keeps you interested.
Yeah.
Not in Kansas. You're just driving
It's a sheet of paper. Well, if you're going east to west, you run right into the mountains,
Yeah, and that's when it gets interesting. As soon as you cross the border into Colorado, it's like, yay. Oh my God, I see something in the horizon besides corn. Yay.
corn and tornadoes. But Chester, when he returns home, he's got all kinds of shit going on, doesn't he?
And then he shows up. And I think the funeral is that even his children couldn't find anything nice to say about him.
Oh, I know. They were making up stuff. What was it? Corrine made up the fishing story. And who was it? Burt. What did Burt say? Oh my God, I love Burt in all of these. He's so funny.
Oh, well, the best thing is Billy says that when I was telling the story, Billy, like when I was younger, I wanted a hammer because I wanted to build a puppy.
Yeah.
And I told my dad, and he found it really funny. And so what did he do? He bought me a hammer. So I buy him the puppy.
He bought him a hammer. But he goes through.
I like the Chester storyline. It's interesting. I thought they did a good job of that. So
yeah, they did. which would probably bring us to scene 2, which is Jody, who has a fight with Dennis and is provoked to slug him. Jody has trouble directing a commercial with Carol, and Dennis competing for his attention on the set. Jody is stood up at the altar by Carol, which I thought, I didn't expect that. I haven't seen this in a long time, but I forgot that she stood him up. And Jody assures Mary that he won't attempt suicide again. Jody meets Carol's mom. Jody befriends Alice, a suicidal lesbian. Jody invites Alice to become his roommate, and Jody introduces Alice to his family. Jody and Alice become jealous of each other's dates and decide to date each other, which I saw coming a mile away. Carol's mother, Jody is introduced to his newborn daughter, Wendy, by Carol's mom, who shows up with the child at Jody's apartment. Mrs. David, Carol's mom, tells him that Carol has run off with another man and offers Jody custody of Wendy only if he kicks Alice out of the apartment, which is, what does she say? She goes, oh, one homo is enough, but 2 homos, you could not get away with this stuff anymore.
This tells you how far we've actually come as well, because
the evolution, yeah.
Well, I mean, in this time period, I mean, the thing is that Jody would not be able to see his child.
No,
or would not be able to have custody of him because he was a homo.
Yeah,
because he was gay, and you think to yourself, like, God, you forget that it was like that actually, and and to have the show like highlight that, and I had to sit there and say, I think this is where the show comes out strongest, because the thing is, you probably got the first real gay character in a series at this time period.
I can't even remember another gay character really, other than Jody.
Yeah,
Campbell,
and it's played so well, because you have even though it's all the situations there are very, very heightened, but there are some things that you realize is like, they all come to terms with it, which is really good. And never want just Jody the butt of the joke. The people who have a problem with homosexuals or being gay are the people, they are the butt of the joke. And that's why I think soap works really well.
It makes the bigots look stupid.
Precisely.
In a passive aggressive fashion, which I really enjoy, because, because they just make, I know it's a comedy show for the most part, but it humanizes, people like Jody and his new friend Alice, who happens to be a lesbian, a
lesbian Jewish mother of all things.
I know. And you almost got, when you kind of see it happening, when they get together, you're wondering, these guys are going to like each other. But she puts all the newspaper on the floor and she cleans his house and totally just messes with his world and puts the couch facing the fireplace, because the fireplace and the couch weren't communicating well enough. And she's just, that's the kind of roommate everybody wants. God, she cleans, she cooks. That's why he goes after her. She cleans, she cooks. What else did she do?
Organized, paints the bathroom.
She painted, silver. She painted, it's like a disco.
It's like a disco in there.
And almost
a disco bathroom.
Well, this is 78, correct? Still, are we in 78?
Yeah, 77, 78, yeah.
Yeah, because I guess disco was on its way out, I'm assuming, because that's when
I think we still had the Village People. Wasn't like in the Navy and all that stuff. Hitler was number 1 around this time period, wasn't it?
It might have been. I just can't recall.
I Will Survive and all that stuff was still there. ABBA was Take a Chance on Me, and and I think we also had like Leif Garrett. I was made for dancing.
That's right. Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. Oh my God, I got to YouTube that now.
Yeah,
oh my God, Leif Garrett. Oh my God, he always wears a bandana on his head now. Why?
Yeah, that's because he's gotten quite funky looking. But I think we also had Sean Cassidy singing to Do Ron Ron and Hey,
do Ron Ron, tonight. Somebody told me her name was Jill.
Yeah. So that was all around this time period, because this is like right after the
Bay City Rollers, or was that earlier?
No, that's about this time as well, because all around the
SATUR night.
But this is all around. This is like right after the bicentennial, so
yeah.
And I think this is the year that Elvis died as well, isn't it? 77.
Yeah, Queen had their big albums coming out.
Yeah. So we had the whole disco, and then we had kind of like that rock. Then we had like rock, and then we had like the war. The war between rock and disco hasn't come out yet. Donna Summers is huge at this time.
Yeah.
So.
The disco sucks stuff hasn't started yet. Remember disco sucks?
Like
Remember the war? That was an actual war. I mean, rock versus disco. What was that movie? Oh my God, I love it. What was it? Oh, these guys they want to go see Kiss. Oh my God, what's it called?
Oh yes, I like that movie. Rock and Roll All Night or something.
No. Oh my God, it's gonna drive me nuts.
I've seen that movie.
They're trying to get Kiss tickets, or they want Kiss tickets, and they end up, fighting with the disco boys on the side. Oh my God, it's gonna drive me nuts. It's at the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I remember that movie. Actually, that was a good movie. Actually,
Detroit Rock City.
That's it. I knew it was named. I knew it had like a Kiss song title in it. So
yeah, I don't know. It initially brought me right back to that, because that was really, you got the disco guys and you got the rock guys. They don't like disco, and there's a lot of. I just can't. I remember that
Kiss ended up doing a disco song anyway, didn't they?
Which one?
I was made for loving you, baby.
Yeah.
You were made for loving me.
This is true.
So they ended up doing like a disco song by the end of it.
Yeah. I
think everyone ended up doing like a bit of a dance song, didn't they?
It wasn't all bad. I like some of that stuff. It wasn't all that bad.
Well, even Styx had a disco song, really, didn't they? With Renegade. Oh, Renegade. You'd be at your school disco dancing to the Obama.
Yeah. They did play that. They did. Remember Twilight 22 when we were kids?
Yeah.
Where the bowling alley was? Oh my God, how funny.
Yeah.
They had the dance floor, sneaking your moves.
We were dancing the Cheap Trick as well,
Yeah.
I want you to want me.
Yeah. People are going to turn us off right about now. We got to stop singing.
I don't know. I was there saying 70. What was great good about the 70s and 80s, which I think is what we're missing now, is that you would turn on the radio and you would have Dolly Parton, Here You Come Again. You'd have, you'd have Cheap Trick. You'd have Pat Benatar. You'd have like so many different types.
You'd have Ferris too would come on out of the middle of nowhere. I love that song, by the way. I always loved Ferris too.
But you also had like just so much different kind of music all the time, and it's like if you look at the top 100 and at this time period, it was just like songs from every single genre coming out at you, and there's just
on the Billboard. It wasn't just rock, it wasn't just disco. Rap was such a good time, diversity, and it was embraced. And I mean, it wasn't sometimes, but it was. And now, as things have changed so much, I kind of miss the old days. God, I miss it.
I think we had more diversity in the 70s because I mean, even in television, okay, we had Soap, we had the gay character in Soap, but we had Good Times and What's Happening,
and Archie
Bunker, and we had we didn't have a lot of Hispanic stuff going on at that time, but we had a lot of, black shows and white shows and mixed shows. And we had the Jeffersons. We had a mixed race couple in the Jeffersons.
Yeah, I love the Jeffersons. I still turn them on. I love the Jeffersons. Yeah. I just love how he gets so upset.
He called all the white people honky.
Yeah. And I mean, I was never, were you offended ever? I've never been offended how he picked on the couple, what's their name? The Wilsons? Was that their name?
The Wilsons, yeah.
The Wilsons, he was white, she was black, and he used to dog on them.
And he said that all white people smell like wet potato chips.
Yeah.
Sanford and Sons.
Yeah, I love Sanford and Son. I love all of them. They're all great shows. I don't care, black, white, or whatever. Now I am going to say it. But the good thing with Jody and Alice and stuff coming at it, because it does bring the attention and reflect to the time. And I mean, it's comedy, but it also does bring an awareness that if you were a gay man or a gay female, you could not have your children. So this is why people were so in the closet back then. And there was no compassion. It was looked at as a perverted lifestyle, and you were going to do something to your children, which it's such bullshit. But in a comedic way and a sensitive way, like she does with all of her writing, she's just brilliant. Yeah. She gets this point across, and it's a very poignant moment, when she says, well, I can handle one homosexual, but you can't have two. So he's got to make the decision whether he's going to kick Alice out to have his baby. He can't take her to court back then. He wouldn't have had a snowball's chance in hell of keeping the baby, which brings the seriousness under the comedy value, because it was a real problem for people.
Yeah, and that's what's great about Susan Harris. I mean, she would continue this crusade for gay rights and everything like that, even through the Golden Girls, which would come out after, sort of thing, and about compassion and empathy and understanding, and let people live their lives and all that sort of stuff. And that's pretty much what soap is about. It's just like
right, and then you got Carol. She had to have Jody so bad, and then she just takes off on him, and then her and Dennis were having those issues with each other. I mean, but she was such a shit for leaving him. But
the funny thing about Carol and Dennis is that they're almost like the same person. Dennis is a gay version of Carol, and Carol's a straight version of Dennis. Yeah. Because the thing is, they have these control issues about him, sort of thing, and and it's all about I want. They're always putting things down to Jody. It's like, I want you to be this, I want you to be that, I want you to be this. Meanwhile, they're off doing whatever they want to do, and they want Jody to, prioritize his life according to their wishes. Basically, I mean, look at Dennis. I mean, Dennis didn't want to be with Jody because he wanted to go out with a girl, and then Jody got, Well, he was gay, and he was a football star, and he didn't want to be emasculated publicly for being gay. And then Jody decides he's gonna have a sex change, and then Dennis doesn't want him anyway. And then as Jody gets on with his life, Dennis comes back, I changed my mind. So it's kind of like, okay. And then Carol basically uses emotional blackmail to have sex with him. And that happens. And then she said she's pregnant by him. But then I guess she also have to wonder, like, is it really Jody's? Because I think Carol was a bit promiscuous. Yeah. It looked like Carol was probably getting around a little bit. But I think he was like a conquest. I think it was like, let's see if we can turn him. But, it does kind of bring out the other sex. I don't know if you want to call it bisexual. Is Jody bisexual? Is he homosexual? He seems like he likes both at this point. I don't know if they ever go into that too much. I'm not sure. I mean, it doesn't come out in this block too much at the moment. I mean, the whole thing about Carol is kind of weird because Carol then gives birth, and then what do we find out is that Carol meets a man and runs off with the man and leaves her baby behind. So obviously we do find out that Carol has a bit of a pattern here. Yeah. She's not somebody you can count on. That's for sure. I'm kind of wondering if Carol's going to come back now because, what's going to happen when this relationship ends with this guy that she's run off with. And then, enter Alice, the lesbian friend, and then they bring dates home, and they start getting jealous of each other's dates. I know. Well, I think it is. I think that's a flatmate thing because like sometimes if you got sometimes like when you have flatmates and you find yourself in a situation where it's like you become home. It's like you come to like this weird kind of family situation, right? And then, if you're both single and basically, you got a good setup going on here with, Alice doing the cooking and the cleaning and, if she becomes serious with a girlfriend, does that end? Or if Jody gets in a serious relationship, does that end? What happens to Alice? So I think there's also that going on in this scenario as well. So, just see how they were insulting each other's dates. Yeah. Making fun of their looks and stuff. It's like, Jody said that, Alice's date looked like a trucker. So and she was making fun of it. What, he had more jewelry on. If he had any more jewelry on, he'd have a manhole cover around his neck or something. Yeah. He has more jewelry on than I own. Yeah. I didn't notice that. I might have to go back and rewatch that part because I think I didn't see how much jewelry he had on. I wasn't really looking. But that takes us probably to Dutch and Eunice. Dutch and Eunice decide to run away together. Dutch and Eunice say their goodbyes as they go into hiding. Eunice and Dutch find the hideout cabin to be too rustic. The Tates decide to visit Dutch and Eunice at this hideaway cabin, which, by the way, is a real dive, and the police are not far behind. Dutch finally gets captured by the police, and Eunice comes home. She urges Dutch to turn state's evidence so he could be freed from jail and can be with her on the outside. So she eventually talks him out of escaping from jail. I think she's going to get him like some kind of pardon or something in 2 weeks. She's worked it out. Get him out. Get evidence about something. We're not quite sure what exactly he witnessed yet because they're kind of they haven't really gone into detail. I was going to say that this Dutch and Eunice story is not the most interesting.
No.
The best part about this is when Jessica, Benson, and Billy go and visit.
Yeah.
And the cop shows up and they pretend that he's a neurosurgeon.
Yeah. Benson's a neurosurgeon and they're married and those are his kids. He's black.
And Billy's his child.
They just beat the piss out of the biracial stuff in this. But I love Robert Guillaume. He has got to be hands down one of my favorite TV actors like ever. There is nothing fantastic that he cannot do. He's the it's not the monkey, but what is he? A Lion King. He is. He's the baboon.
He's the baboon in the Lion King. I mean, he's brilliant in that. Everything he does is brilliant. I think he's still alive as well.
Yeah, I believe he is. I hope he is. I'm sure he is.
He still pops up. But yeah, this Dutch and Eunice story. I mean, it's okay. It's kind of like you're jumping to it, and you're like, okay, here we go. And I said it's not the strongest. It was stronger when when it first started. But I like Jennifer Salt a lot. I mean, we've had her on the show. She's a fantastic person,
She's fantastic.
And I like Dutch, but I have to then say that this storyline, against all the other storylines that are being covered in this block, is kind of weak. But it really. My
goodness, he was born in 1927. He's still kicking.
Yeah,
he's still going strong. God love him.
He still pops up. Him and Harry Belafonte, they both show up from time to time.
Oh wow, yeah. But yeah, I kind of agree with you on that.
Yeah, but when they get to the cabin, you get Jessica and Benson there, and it does liven up. I mean, there are some funny scenes that when Eunice goes and meets Dutch, and basically she's screaming at him, and he's behind the glass.
Yeah, she doesn't know where to pick up the phone.
Yeah, so he tells her to pick up the phone, and then the police guy's like, "Stop touching the glass! I have to clean this all the time," which is kind of funny because the thing is, when you ever watch these prison movies or any kind of prison thing, and they are behind the glass, you always think like, "Who cleans that glass?" And soap tells you.
What was that movie about the drugs? A guy gets stuck in Turkey.
Oh, Midnight Express.
Midnight Express. I wouldn't have wanted to have to clean that glass, but.
Well, did you ever see Jim Carrey in the Cable Guy with Matthew Broderick?
Yeah.
And there's that part where they redo the Midnight Express thing, and it's Jim Carrey like taking his shirt off, putting his chest up against.
I forgot about that. I know. I think I was in college when we were watching that, and everybody's going, "Man, I'd hate to have to clean up that floor."
Precisely. Yeah.
That was a true story, though. That's what makes it so interesting. But
the Turkish prison. The problem with Midnight Express is just go slightly off topic here. Is that when you're watching that movie, are you supposed to feel sorry for him? Because to be honest, he's kind of guilty for what he was doing.
Didn't he tape all those drugs to him or something?
We're not talking about like one or two. We're talking about like they were all around his body, but like
yeah, he taped a bunch of drugs. I mean, I threw away a lot of my prescription drugs when we were in Turkey because I was just afraid. It's just like I did not want to stay there during Ramadan.
I don't know if it was heroin or coke, but I know that
I think it was heroin.
Like three or four rows of duct tape.
I know he was like, yeah, he got busted. But the thing is, like, anything's got to be. I mean, I don't know if anybody deserves a Turkish prison. Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm saying, I'm not saying that he deserved a Turkish prison, but he kind of put himself in that position. You know?
Oh yeah, I was stupid. Out of all the places in the world to try to sneak drugs out of, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain places that I'm sorry, but if you're gonna go there, you might, they're not, they don't want to be caught doing stupid stuff.
Oh God, not in Turkey, not anywhere in any Middle Eastern Islamic country. You don't want to get caught doing shit. They won't even let you bring your hormones. Okay.
You don't even, to be honest, in those countries, you don't want to be caught even winking at anyone. You don't even want to flirt with it.
You don't want to get caught taking a picture of the Iranian basketball team in 2018.
Precisely. I mean, there's some countries that, it's probably best just to stay. I mean, there's some countries that I will never go and visit because it's just like, nah. My mouth will just get me in trouble.
Mine will too.
I'll open my mouth, say something stupid, and I won't be seeing the light of day to the day I die. And I'll be taking my body out to back to America to be buried.
Yeah, there's just no way. But let's see. I'm trying to figure out they get to this cabin and she finds like Eunice. Well, you have to give, she is such a spoiled rich girl in this, though, you got to admit, because she's never seen an outhouse. Can you imagine?
Well, I have to sit there and say that if I was taken there and there was an outhouse, I probably would have the same kind of thing.
I wouldn't be happy with an outhouse, although back in the day, especially in Dexter and places like that, people still had outhouses late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, yeah. You know, when I lived in Ireland, and this is like, I moved to Ireland in 1988 for a year, and they just got the bathroom 2 years, and they just got indoor plumbing 2 years prior to that. I mean, the thing is, if I'm in like Florida or somewhere warm, outhouses I probably can deal with. I mean, cold area? No. Can you imagine like the blizzard of 77 having to go out to the freaking outhouse?
Fuck no. You would have to get like a friggin' gray doll or a friggin' something just to get out back because you had 20 feet of snow out back. And people still think we're exaggerating.
I know.
Those snow drifts were big. We were touching the lights, the traffic lights. That's how high some of the drifts were. So no outhouse for me back then. Nope.
We had to get out of our attic window to get plowed out.
Yeah, my friend Jill was using her Huskies to go to the store, hitching them up to a slide.
Yeah.
Good times.
I know.
Good times. But I guess that's going to take us to Corrine and Tim, which gets much more interesting because this is like one of the best storylines. And I mean, literally almost peeing my pants storylines. You talk about The Exorcist of full-blown comedy. But Corrine and Tim. Corrine tells Jessica that she is pregnant. Tim faces his first day working for Burt's construction company and realizes it's not for him. Corrine learns that her pregnancy is much further along than she can explain. Corrine tells Tim about her unexplainable 5-month pregnancy, and he announces that he's going to become a hermit and go lives in a cave. Corrine goes into labor. Corrine gives birth to a boy, and she brings her baby boy home, and the baby cries, keeping everyone in the household awake. The baby exhibits ominous and demonic behavior. Corrine's baby also displays telekinetic powers and speaks in full sentences and in tongues. Corrine tells Tim that the baby is possessed and learns firsthand what's been happening with his son. Tim believes that confronting the baby's demon is the key to his own redemption. Benson decides to join Tim in confronting the baby's demon. Corrine believes that the baby is possessed because of her promiscuous past. The Tates prepare to exorcise the baby's demon, and Jessica confronts the demon possessing Corrine's baby, which runs away screaming. Funny, funny, funny. All of this was funny.
I don't understand the attraction to Tim. I mean, he's such a wet noodle.
You know what it is? He's curly. He's just got curly hair, and he's kind of cute, pudgy cheeks. I want to squeeze him kind of. We had Father Remigio in Sacred Heart. He had blue eyes and curly hair. Okay.
Yeah, but Tim is just like, oh my God. It's like, nothing's ever good enough for him. He just moans all the time. But
he's a crybaby.
And Corrine, you're thinking, Corrine, God, he could do so much better. But saying that, it works really, really well. I mean, you know, the only thing I can say that's negative about this storyline is that I kind of wanted it to go on a little bit longer than it does.
I did too, and it didn't. I mean, they could have dragged it out another episode, I think, if they wanted to. Because it was funny. Let's face it. It was so outlandish. You know, it was, but this is making fun of soap operas. We have to keep that in mind. This isn't supposed to be, you know, a drama, so to speak. But I mean, just the whole thing with the baby's insulting, you know, and then Benson decides to go and get him some, you know, he goes, I'm not cleaning. I'm not making dinner. I'm done.
And then it's like, meanwhile, the demonic presence is screaming and it's like shaking the house. And Chester's like going, does my insurance pay for this?
Yeah, I know.
And Burt goes, it is an act of God.
Jody comes in and he says something and all of a sudden he starts levitating. And then that stupid Bob, the doll, goes, look, a fruit fly. The insults are just, I mean, then you got Burt and Chester interacting and being rotten to each other. And I mean, the writing is obscenely fantastic in this one episode. I mean, I was crying. I mean, I forgot how much joy these episodes, I mean, seriously, they bring to your life if you watch them, especially when you really need a laugh and you need to be taken back to a time when people weren't so offended. and everybody made fun of everybody, and it was just all good.
Yeah.
It just was. And then, you got the baby thing, and you got, Corrine saying she thinks she's being punished because I guess she slept with everybody in town.
Yeah.
Did you sleep with the DA? Yeah, very good. Did you sleep with the mayor? You slept with the mayor?
She goes, I liked it when she goes, oh, I slept with the DA guy, and Jessica goes, I voted for him, and Mary goes, I told you not to vote for him. And she goes, well, I voted for the other guy. And Corrine goes, I slept with him too. And she goes, and trust me, the better man won.
I know. Oh my God. It's just so funny. I rewatched this last night because I was in the back laughing, but the demonic behavior, you've got this baby, and it's just the stuff is saying, well, obviously they can't swear like The Exorcist. You know where they're going with this, but everybody comes down their hairs. Well, Jessica first, Mary and Jessica goes up there because Benson says he's not going to go back up. Yeah. Then you get Mary, and you think it's going to end right there where Mary, they're holding on each other, going up the stairs. They're sisters, they're a united front, and they come down and they just look like beat all to hell when they go to the kitchen and start talking to Corrine. I can't explain this part of the episode enough to people. They really, it's just some of the best writing I've seen in a comedy.
Yeah. Even when they first find out about the demonic, you got Chester and Benson, and Benson's gone there to pick up the baby's pacifier, and he's basically trapped underneath there, and trapped underneath the crib, and then Chester's going, "That's my grandson."
He's trying to kill Benson. He can't get out,
and then Chester goes, "Oh, the grandson looks so much like me," and then the giraffe hits him in the head. No.
I didn't think that they were going to mess up Jessica because she's basically, the goddess of the show for the most part. Mm-hmm. And she's the one that finally, that's the part where it gets kind of nice. It's still comedic, but she actually puts forth that warm fuzzy where how the family still loves each other. And no, you are not taking, anybody from our family. You're not taking anybody's soul. You're going to leave us alone. You're going to go away. And that's pretty much where it ends. But other than ruining it for everybody who haven't seen it, it really has to be watched. I can't stop watching any of them. I'm just enjoying the heck out watching all these again.
Well, what's also really fantastically written is that you're laughing, and then you get this fantastic
sobering moment.
And even the conversation between Mary, Jessica, and Corrine about Corrine being promiscuous, and what Mary says to her is God, this is fantastic, sort of thing. And you get you're laughing, but then you just get these sobering moments that basically just are so heartfelt. And I don't think I think it's really hard to be able to switch back and forth like that. But Soap does it very, very expertly and fantastically.
Yeah,
well.
I got to find some outtakes on some of these episodes because I've never seen any bloopers, but I bet you they're funny as hell. Just Richard Mulligan. I don't know if I could ever do a scene with that man. Him and Chester where they're face to face and they're giving each other crap, Burt and Chester. It's just funny because it's just nonstop quips, bang, bang, bang,
Well, another thing that you find in this is that, this is recorded in front of a studio audience.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going to a taping of this? It must have been fantastic. Sort of thing.
Oh my God. I was thinking that when I was watching it last night, it must have been a lot of fun to watch them do this. Just the outtakes and the mistakes too, as well, and you can hear the audience, obviously the audience liking it, I wonder how many people were in the studio audience.
But wasn't it Dinah Manoff who told us that basically when you acted with Richard Mulligan, you had to be with him at the moment because you never knew what he was going to do. Yeah,
I guess he was kind of like Robin Williams, I think, the way she was going. He kind of went off script a little bit and he ad-libbed some of the stuff. He
got really irritated apparently as well. So you kind of had to stay in the moment with him and just
Right. He was a serious actor, though, comedy and all. But it's just the facial expressions and, his eye movement and just all of his body expression. It makes you laugh. He doesn't even have to say anything.
He was in on some Mel Brooks films as well, wasn't he?
I want to say yes.
I think he was in Silent Movie and things like that sort of thing.
He's a brilliant actor. It's just, God, I wish people like that were still around. I'm pretty sure. I think he was in a Mel Brooks, but don't get me lying. Well, you got the whole family together. Burt gets kicked out, and you got the family, you got the women talking in the kitchen. And then you got that sobering moment in the end where Jessica expels the demon. Finally he's gone. And it's the devil. It's not just any demon. It has to be, the big kahuna himself.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at Richard Mulligan. S.O.B. That's what he was in.
S.O.B.
Yeah.
He was in he had a lot of serious roles too. I mean, it wasn't always laughter. He had some serious roles. I remember seeing him.
Well, he did Edgar Allan Poe. He lent his voice to Oliver and Company and Hey Arnold before he died. So yeah. So but yeah, I mean, he's been around. I know I saw him in Mel Brooks film, and that's not, it was S.O.B. because it's the one where you got to see Julie Andrews get her shirt off.
That was such a big deal too.
Oh yeah, and he was in Mickey and Maude as well, and Teachers and Meatballs Part 2. Okay,
I remember Meatballs. I remember Mickey and Maude vaguely.
Mickey and Maude's one with Amy Irving and Dudley Moore, and basically they used to be on HBO all the time. That's why I know this used to be on HBO on a loop.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah, HBO was on a loop back then. Actually, the little brown box.
Yeah.
You either turned it right or left.
Precisely. So, but yeah, I mean, this the demonic storyline is fantastic. It's
funny as hell.
So many years later, I always remember the demonic storyline. It's always the one that sticks in my head.
That and the Martians,
and the one that we're coming up to,
right?
As well. But it's those two storylines that, for some reason, always sticks in my head.
Yeah. Yep. Which brings us to Mary and Burt. Mary is kissed by her college professor, Dr. Martins, who is interested in her more than a student. Mary does not return his advances, and Burt walks in on Mary and the professor at the wrong moment, and he thinks she is having an affair. He gets drunk and goes to Sally's apartment and ends up spending the night. Burt wakes up next to Sally, much to his horror. Burt lies to Mary about where he was all night, and Mary tells Jessica that Burt is having an affair. Mary is troubled, and Jodie's guess is why that is. Burt tries to break it off with Sally, and it's revealed that Sally's interest in Burt is merely a part of a malicious plot against him. Burt and Mary are emotional wrecks on the day of Jodie's wedding. Mary and Burt confront their mutual misunderstandings and reconcile. Burt tells Sally to find another job. Sally reacts badly to the suggestion and tells Mary that Burt is having an affair with both her and an 18-year-old girl. Mary leaves Burt and moves in with the Tates and violently confronts Burt about Sally's accusations. She's throwing everything at him. Burt vows to prove himself innocent and learns that Ingrid has been blackmailing Sally to get her to pretend that she and Burt have consummated an affair, which they have not. Danny also asks Jody to help Mary and Burt resolve their problem. Sally confesses to Mary that she lied about Burt's affairs.
Yeah, the thing is, this is kind of an odd one because I love that you see the love between Mary and Burt and this whole thing going on. But I have to say that this storyline went on for a little bit. And the reason behind it, I wasn't quite sure why they brought Ingrid back. And why was Ingrid going after Burt and Mary when the whole thing about Corrine is the Tates, not the Campbells?
I forget why she was mad at them.
Yeah,
she was mad at all of them. Because she took up for her sister. Burt insulted her several times. I know that. And she vowed revenge on all of them.
But you just think that she probably would go for more revenge on the Tates. Because
Chester and Jessica, yeah.
Because she's Corinne's mother.
I think that they're trying to open the door to let her back in, though, because she hasn't been on in a while. Maybe that's where they're going with that.
Yeah. But, I mean, I like, when you find out about it. But the thing is and you find out, I thought it was quite nice that Burt didn't actually have an affair. He loves Mary too much. And
you didn't even know, though, because he just happened to wake up. You notice how he's pulling the covers down and he's looking, and then he realizes he doesn't have any clothes on. And then he starts doing the faces and the noises and typical, Richard Mulligan style stuff.
But then to say that, I mean, it's all because of a miscommunication, because he walks in on Mary and the college professor is on top of her.
The couch. Yeah, it looked like that they were going at it.
Yeah, so, then he goes out and gets drunk and goes to Sally's place sort of thing. But then he kind of also wonders, like, in the block that we've done previously, the last time we've done so, because she was after Danny at one point as well, remember?
She was she was after Danny. But I think she just had to get one of the Campbells. I don't know how, but I think, aren't the boys' last name Dallas, Jody Dallas, Danny Dallas?
Yeah,
they're not
Jody
Campbells,
Dallas,
are they?
Yeah, because it's Mary's second marriage, isn't it? So Burt's not Jody and Danny's father.
Yeah, because we already crossed that bridge where Burt killed Mary's husband.
Yeah, and Burt's sons is Chuck. Chuck and Bob.
Yeah, Chuck and Bob. I mean, you just can't. I mean, that guy's brilliant. Chuck and Bob. We got to find him. I wonder if he's still alive.
He actually showed up on Twitter the other day, actually.
Oh, really? He's out there?
Yeah, he's around, yeah. We should try to get him on the show. I do love Bob. Every time Bob's on there.
I would love to interview Chuck and Bob. Oh my God, what a riot.
The only problem I have with them, though, is they don't really have a storyline. They just come in and they kind of do.
Well, no, they don't have a storyline that I can remember.
But Bob gives the best lines ever.
He's definitely got the best one-liners. With the fruit fly thing.
And they talk to Bob like he's real.
Well, after a while, did we get to the part yet? Is this the scene where they're all getting drunk? Because everybody left everybody at this point. So it all does kind of tie in. And the dummy's the only one left at the table passed out. They left him with a bill.
Well, the funny thing also is like, Bob's like, stop it. Because Jody goes, I never throw up at anything. Just throw anything at me.
Yeah. The worms and stuff.
And Bob's going, no. And then he pretends he's throwing up, and then everyone's like jumps back.
But no, you know that Burt.
You also get Bob interacting with Alice as well when the lesbian he goes to meet the Campbells, and it's like,
oh God, I know.
You forgot me. He's introducing the family.
Oh, I know. And then you got Sally. Well, was it Mary? She starts talking to Mary about everything that she's supposedly accusing Burt of. And then you got them sitting down like two best friends when they find out about the 18-year-old. He says he's with a fat old lady. She goes, okay, You're sleeping with a fat old lady, an 18-year-old, and your secretary. I mean,
and the funny thing is, when Burt comes clean to her and he tells her that she's an unattractive fat lady, Mary's okay with that. It's when she finds out he's like 18-year-old.
Or that the secretary is attractive.
Yeah. That was quite funny sort of thing.
But all's well that ends well. Well, I guess we'll figure out what Ingrid's up to, because Sally confessed to Mary, and they kind of move on with things. And
it was quite nice to see the love. I mean, you do, and the love
they love each other.
Is very, very pure and very, very strong. I mean, that does come out of this whole storyline sort of thing. So,
well, yeah, until you get to the aliens. Which brings us to Danny and Elaine. Mary and Elaine share a tender moment. I think they're doing the facial thing at that point, were they?
Yeah.
And Elaine gets kidnapped by the mob, just as Danny's relationship with her begins to bloom. The Campbells panic because of Elaine's kidnapping, and Danny is allowed to speak on the phone to Elaine. Burt and Danny rehearse the ransom drop. Elaine gets shot while escaping from the kidnappers. Elaine dies in the arms of her horrified husband, and Danny sets out to find Elaine's killers with Burt in tow. Danny gets a tip about Elaine's killers, and Danny confronts Mel, the mobster who murdered Elaine, but gets clobbered by Mel's girlfriend, Millie, which all turned out kind of... This was sad. There was comedy, but I really thought Dinah did really good in this. I mean, It was really sad because you know how the relationship started. They hated each other. She was a horrible, wretched human being. Nobody liked her. She was mean to everybody. And then she gets treatment from like what a regular family, quote unquote, is. And you realize that, she's really nice. She just hasn't been treated well most of her life, and she doesn't know how to deal with people. And so, just a little bit of hard love and a little bit of regular love. And she comes around and she turns out to be the best thing. And her and Danny fall in love. And then
and then when she gets kidnapped, they contact her father, and her father
doesn't want her.
Yeah, it's really sad, actually.
He was a real total dick. That was really sad. And Dinah Manoff's got that kind of face that makes you sad because she's got that, she can make you cry. She's so sweet. I don't know. I guess even when she was being mean, you loved her.
Yeah, I loved her character in this, and I have to then say that seeing her go it's also sad, actually.
I thought it was sad. I was kind of hoping, I remembered this episode. I go, oh man, this is where Dinah leaves. I mean, it's so sad because you want to see Danny with somebody, eventually. But I think that if she stayed, it would have been great. But didn't she go to Empty Nest after?
No,
that was later. That was the 80s. Right? Oh, that's right. Oh my God, I got my head stuck in the 80s. That's right. She did.
She went off to Greece, which would come out a year later and be like a huge blockbuster that became. But yeah, and I thought when she died and she dies in Danny's arms, I thought that the scene with Danny's mourning her was really, really well done. I thought it looked really
nice. I thought it was sad where she kept saying, I'm home. I was like, no, it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
This is sad. It's very, very sad.
But that's why also I like it when they get through these sad moments because you're not expecting it. It's just like, oh my God, it just takes you by surprise, and then you find yourself like really feeling for it as well.
Right. Even though it's supposed to be a comedy show, and it's like Harris, she just knows how to do this. She's just brilliant at it. I mean, she did it with the other shows that she's written. And I always notice she must have used the same composer for each show because you ever notice there's something of a similarity with all the shows in the music. Soap definitely has its, the funny. It's just funny. Even the music's funny.
It also kind of reminds me as like with Soap it reminds me of a Bette Midler concert. And the reason why I say that is like Bette Midler has a habit like joke, like, right. Sophie Tucker's like, I was in bed with my boyfriend on you last night. He said to me, Soap. He always called me Soap. He said to me, Soap. You have a tight, you have no tits in a tight box. I said to him, Ernie, get off my back. And then she'll sing like a sad song right after that. And he's like, you're laughing. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, it's such a song. And then she'll cut another joke. And you're like,
yeah.
And that's what Soap reminds me of. He's like, laugh, laugh, laugh. Oh my God, this is so sad. I feel, oh my God, I can't believe my heart's actually breaking here. And then it's like, and then laughing again.
It kind of reminded me, there's this, and I was watching, my mother used to watch Search for Tomorrow. And I don't remember who it was, the hero, but there was this Hispanic actress, her name was Renata, and she happened to die like that in her lover's arms and everything, and she'd been crushed by a building or something, and he didn't get to her in time. It's typical soap opera shit. And I'm just bawling watching Renata die. Oh my God, it was the same thing with this. I mean, she really actually incorporated the drama of a regular soap opera into this one little scene. Yeah. And it was really well done. And I guess if you're watching the story and you watch how they hated each other, you knew they were going to eventually like each other because it's a soap opera kind of, even though it's comedy. But you knew what was going to happen eventually.
And it's quite sad because as far as Elaine is concerned, or Dinah Manoff, she's just getting into her groove in the series as well. She just became such a regular. And then it's like, boo, she's gone. It's like, oh my God.
I know. I hate seeing her go.
It's so quick
I really
as well.
enjoy her.
It's just very, very done quickly as well. It's just like, whoa, she's gone already.
I didn't think that was going to be on till later on, but yeah, she came and she went.
Yeah, she came at the end of season 1, and she's gone by before the middle of season 2. So
yeah, it was just too short for her.
Yeah,
I mean, why couldn't she just wait for the drop? No, she had to run, and then Danny, after a while, we got going through the other storylines. Danny, is trying to find the people who killed her, and he finally confronts Mel. And you see, what is the name of that actress? I've seen her in other stuff. She's playing Millie.
I don't know, but
have you seen her before? I've seen her in other things, but you kind of wonder. It's like, well, why did he turn his back like that? Give me the phone. It's like, what are you thinking? Of course, she's going to give you the phone.
But Danny's not the brightest either.
No, he's just very handsome and cute.
Precisely, yeah. He always does really stupid things. He finds himself in these really weird. But I mean, even like with the mob, I mean, and he always finds it. You know, even when he was on the run from the mob, I mean, he's always returning home in different disguises.
The rabbi and all that.
and then they get shot out because the mob always knew where he was.
Right.
You're always going home. But
right.
But yeah, I mean, you know, he's on this mission to avenge Elaine's death because he loves her so much, which is quite sweet. But then I guess another good thing is that you kind of got his family backing him up. It's like, you know, and I think he shows up at Jodie's place, and when he goes, "Are girls gay? Girls be gay?" sort of thing.
Girls be gay. You know what? That probably a lot of people probably didn't realize that back then. So that is kind of reflecting, you know, what people were thinking.
But we also get that he's like going to do that, and Jody goes, "No, don't do it. You got to stop this." And he goes, and then Jody goes, "No, I know what you're going to do." And he goes, you know, "What would you do if something happened to me?" He goes, "I go out and kill them too. I'll go and get revenge." So basically, it's like, it's quite nice that you got Jody and Danny very, very close, and Burt will do anything for Danny. And it's quite nice to have that really. You have this zany family that love each other no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, they insult the shit out of each other, but at the end of the day, love. They still love each other.
Yeah.
Which brings us to scene 7 with Jessica. Jessica hires Detective George Donahue for a job of finding Chester. Donahue declares his love for Jessica. I think everybody falls in love with Jessica at least once. Jessica tells Detective Donahue that she loves him too, but she cannot act on it due to her feelings for Chester. Benson warns Detective Donahue, and Detective Donahue finds Chester's wallet at the scene of a train wreck and tells Jessica that Chester is dead. Jessica tells Mary about her date with Donahue, and her and Donahue spend the night together. Jessica and Donahue agonize about the future of their relationship when Chester returns home. Jessica tells Chester about Donahue. Jessica calls Chester and Donahue together to deliver her decision about which two of the men she will remain with. And Jessica chooses Chester, but offers to let Donahue stay in the house until he stops throwing up and passing out at the door. Oh my God, these two, Chester and Donahue. I couldn't stop laughing. These two are just funny. They're like two kids fighting in a schoolyard over Jessica.
Well, I mean,
she's got this really pretty outfit on too, which totally accentuates a beautiful figure. This woman was just drop dead gorgeous. She really was. And, you know, everybody falls in love with her. And I think it's kind of funny because they got her such a ditz, but she's such a loving ditz, you know? And I mean, even Benson doesn't love her that way, but he adores her, you know?
The thing about her though, is that she's accepting and loving no matter who the person is though.
She likes everybody. Yeah, she's very loving.
I mean, even Bob, she treats Bob like a real person. And even Bob says something, even Bob can't be nasty. No one can be nasty to Jessica
I don't think anybody's nasty to Jessica really that much either. They all fall in love with her or some kind of weird shit.
Yeah.
But it's just when she decides, she goes, I'm just going to write this down, you know, to make her decision about that. She gives Donahue the yes and Chester the no by accident. And said they were both going to be manly about it. And he starts crying like a baby. No, Chester starts crying like a baby. And Donahue's all excited. And then she realizes she gave him the wrong paper. And so she gives it to Chester. Then Donahue starts crying. I mean, it's just great writing. I mean, I've heard all this fun come out of somebody's head.
But she also has the most heartfelt moments as well.
She does. It's like she gets all the goodies. She really does.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, when we get to like season 4, when we get to the end of this, I think this is where soap's going to pale a little bit. We won't go into it now, but
right.
Jessica's like the heart of the show, basically. I don't know what it is about her. She's ditzy, but she's lovable, you know.
Everything happens to her too. She's always some kind of, it's like the perils of Pauline or something. Something's always going on in Jessica's life.
But she even looks. She always. I think she's always looking for the. She always looks and finds the silver lining, no matter how horrible the situation is.
And some of the situations are just deplorable. They just heinous. But she's always still got and she's always got those stories. You know, she kind of reminds me of Betty White with St. Olaf's. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, even like when in the beginning of the series, when Chester's sleeping around on her, she's still looking for that silver lining sort of thing. And even when she gets convicted of murder and goes to jail, she finds the silver lining.
Benson brings her that nice breakfast and stuff.
Yeah.
But even Benson looks out for her. He loves her in his own way too. You know.
I don't think you can dislike her. I don't think anyone can. Even when
if you knew somebody like that, could you dislike them? That'd be like kicking a puppy dog. I couldn't, you know. You just can't.
Even if you got her most crackpotish sort of thing, even when she says the most stupidest things in the world, he's just like, I just love Jessica. I mean, she's
a wonderful character. She's really actually a wonderful actress. I've seen her play scary, mean people all the way to,
she was in Brazil, that Terry Gilliam film, Brazil. Lady in White, which will be covered.
Lady in White was exceptional. I love that movie. I think it's a great movie. Some people don't like it. It wasn't exciting enough for them. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I think it's one of it's
Who's the Boss with Tony Danza?
Who's the Boss? That was excellent as well.
He was excellent in that. You look forward every time. I mean, every time she came on the screen, it's like fantastic.
Well, if I see her in a movie, I'll generally stop and watch it. I mean, I've got a few people like that. I just, oh, wow, they're in this. I'm going to check it out just because of a certain individual. And it's because she brings a lot to acting. Like in the Lady in White, she was like the scary old grandmother with the long hair in there. And you didn't know she was dead or alive, really. But apparently she was real. But I mean, she kind of floated. So, she could do scary. She's got one of those faces. She could do scary really well. I
remember seeing her in Terry Gilliam's Brazil, and she plays like a rich person, and basically they take her skin and they're stretching it.
I've not seen it.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's very of its time. I think it's like 83, 84. And it's Terry Gilliam, so it's very, very odd. It's very, very odd.
Yeah, if it's any Monty Python, anything, it's going to be odd.
Yeah.
I mean, that just goes without saying.
Good. Yeah, she's brilliant. And, she really knows how to capture a moment, and you just feel for her.
There's just something about her. She's like all heart or something. It doesn't even seem like she's really working at her performance, whether it be comedy or drama. She just got something about her. I don't know if it's, she's kind of fun to look at. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I don't know. It's not a beauty issue so much.
She got these big doe eyes, doesn't she? And then she just kind of like flutters them a little bit. And it's like,
she plays stupid really well too.
But the thing is, she's never really that stupid, which is kind of...
She's really not.
It's just because it's like she comes across as being quite stupid or quite airheaded. But the thing is, at the end of the day, she's very switched on because she knows everything that's going on. But she's
aware. She's aware, I think.
Precisely. And
when she thinks out loud, she doesn't kind of get it together quite as much. It's like if we all thought out loud all the time, people think we were crazy too.
Yeah. But then you're not quite sure if it's an actor or anything because she's a lot more aware than you. It's kind of weird because on one level, if you look at it at face level, it's like, yeah, she's a bit dingy. But then it's like when you get these heartfelt moments that she always delivers, it's like you actually you're a lot more switched on than we think you are. She's
smart. She really is smart, but she's portrayed to be simple-minded, I guess is the word I want to use.
Not simple-minded at all, actually. So you don't know, and the thing is, you don't know if it is an act or not. You know what I mean? Maybe is she really that, or it's just an act, and a way for her to get out of situations and make it seem like for her to deal with any of the stressful situations she's in that maybe she's in or something like that. But no, she's brilliant. I mean. Even when she's tearing apart whether she should be with Donahue or Tate or Chester, and then it's, and you're kind of torn with her, which one she should go for. Because you do have, at the end of the day, you do have, Chester's history, which isn't great towards her.
No, I mean, he cheated on her all the time. He was really kind of blasé about her. And you kind of like seeing, him really wanting her back, realizing how badly he fucked up, and realizing this is a really good woman and she's found somebody else, so I better figure out how to get her back, which is why I always thought she was going to kind of pick Chester anyway.
Well, but, I think you kind of had to in this, maybe in this time period, maybe because family is the strongest sort of thing.
It was going pretty strong back then, I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if this was written today, would she have picked Chester?
Probably not.
Sort of thing, because she could.
Well, it's like he said, Donnie says, well, you can have the old usual, or you can have a new exciting life, a brand new. And I mean, that's appealing to people. I mean, who doesn't want to have exciting passion, brand new? That's just human nature. That's why I figured she was going to go for him, because who doesn't want something new once in a while?
Well, another thing is that Donahue's as dingy as she is, though, as well. So I mean,
he's kind of dingy, but not so much dingy. I just think it's funny when they start insulting each other, calling each other names, and it goes on into our next section. But I mean, I can't even remember all the insults. There are so many of them. You got to watch it.
He's accident prone as well. Donahue is, though. I mean, he gives her, bakes her breakfast in bed with a 3-legged, bed table or whatever. Night thingy. And then she's like propped up trying to look like, like a movie goddess in bed waiting for him. And then he trips and falls on top of her. And then
they are kind of goofy, I guess.
And then makes her breakfast of like dried Rice Krispies because there's no milk.
Yeah, I guess he is a little goofy. I kind of figured, well, if he's a private investigator, he's got to have some smarts. But, then you got, she does love Chester, though. She does. I mean, I think that Jessica cheats because she's so lonely. When you leave your spouse or your loved one constantly, they're going to start looking. They are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she had an affair with Burt's oldest son, but that's only Peter. That's only because Chester was having an affair with everyone.
And then Peter was having an affair with everybody.
And Jessica basically slept with one person, and then, but she didn't have enough. But she's not having an affair because she thought Chester was dead. So,
yeah. So technically, it wasn't an affair.
No,
technically,
because Chester was dead. Chester was legally dead. Chester was buried. Chester had a funeral.
Yeah, even though Chester was drinking in the railroad and sinking and burning them in the diner. But let's talk about Billy. Billy is attracted to a classmate named Lisa, who lures him into a religious cult called the Sunnis. Is it Sunnis or Sunnis?
I pronounce it back and forth. I realize I have to notice.
Billy is confronted by Benson about his involvement with the Sunnis. Billy is not allowed to go home by the Sunnis, whatever. I can't remember what they called it. Benson, Chester, Donahue, and the Major prepare to rescue Billy. Billy is indoctrinated by the Sunnis, which use torture and deprivation to bend him to their will. Benson, Chester, Donahue, and the Major invade the Sunnis' compound only to be captured. And this has got to be by far some of the funniest shit I've seen in a long time. It just is. The blackface.
It's quite good to get Billy a storyline as well.
Well, he needed a storyline because poor Billy, he's usually fetching stuff for people like, do this, go get the bag, change rooms, bring this bag to that room. No, take that bag out, bring it to that room now. He's kind of like left to his own devices, as a lot of teenagers are, I think, sometimes. When a bunch of adults are together and they have their whole hodgepodge of problems, you overlook somebody usually, and it happens to be him. And what happens when you overlook somebody? They're going to go out and get themselves in trouble. And back then, you had a bunch of cult things going on.
Oh, yeah. If you look at the cult leader anyway, he's got Jim Jones glasses on.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I totally didn't even think of that. Oh my God, you're right.
And yet, Guyana was going on around this time. I don't know if it happened by this time, or if it did, it wasn't. It was quite raw that it happened. But you also had, you had a lot of cults going on around this time anyway.
The Hare Krishners.
Hare Krishnas.
They didn't bother anybody though. They just used to annoy you in the airports.
Airport, yeah, banging their thingy.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
But you had but I mean, you also had like the cult that basically kill themselves because they're gonna find God at the end of a comment. Yeah, those.
Oh God, what was those people called? I just had that in my mind. Oh my God. Keep talking. I gotta find that.
And then you had like all these people who were like taking, because you used to these stories, because wasn't it Donahue and things like those kind of shows are starting to pop up around this time as well?
Oprah, well, not Oprah, but you had some of those. Well, not Sally, Jesse.
Geraldo. Was it Geraldo?
Geraldo was around. Remember when he got hit in the face when he had the friggin' the skinheads on that one? He had that riot on his show.
No, by that time he thought he found Al Capone's secret vault as well.
Oh,
hoping that it was nothing. But about this time, I remember that you used to get a lot of stories about people getting their children away from cults and have to get them reprogrammed. Do you remember that? There's all these stories around that time.
Yes.
Like, I had to steal my daughter from a cult, and then they had like take her away for like
Heaven's
2 months
Gate.
to get reprogrammed.
It was Heaven's Gate, the comet people. That was in the 90s, though.
Oh, that was 90s.
That was around
the time, there was a lot of stories about people getting their kids away from cults at this time. So.
Oh yeah, and they still exist. I mean, it's not like that's an actual issue. I mean, we had David Koresh, we had all kinds of shit going on down here in Texas in the 90s. Waco, yeah. Waco. What a cookout. Can't do that. Nope, that was bad.
Well, we had also a lot of televangelists on TV at that time as well. I mean, that was huge at one point.
Yeah,
I don't think it's as huge as it used to be, but I remember, Oral Roberts.
We still got Copeland on here in Dallas. He's got the most vulgar display of wealth where he lives, and he has the nerve.
Well, look at Jim Baker and Tammy Faye.
You know what? But I actually liked Tammy Faye. I felt bad for her. I really enjoyed watching her. I could watch her talk all day long. I don't know why.
She had a husband that basically was sleeping.
Oh, what was the name of that girl he was messing with? Or was that Swaggert's?
Swagger had the prostitute, and Jim Baker had the boys.
Oh, yeah. I remember Jimmy Swaggart. I've sinned. I'm sorry. He was crying because he got caught. Yeah. That was all there was to that. Any of that. I hate televangelism. I don't like any of it because
God is greater than the richest king. He's greater. And I don't can sing either.
I know. But I mean, those shows like Reverend Ernest Angley, he had to be my favorite because he'd always like heal people. He goes, "You will be healed." And he'd sit there and start snapping his fingers to get them to go, say baby to get
well,
can't make this shit up.
I mean, I don't know if it's still going, but when I was in Tulsa.
It's around. It's still around. Huh?
You had Oral Roberts University.
Yeah.
And then you had like these great big praying hands coming out of the ground. But the thing is that like the City of Hope, right? And then you had like the gold prayer tower, which is like neoclassical looking cross thing. But the worst thing is that when anyone came to visit me, I was like, "Oh, we have to go to Oral Roberts University." They go, "Why?" I go, "Because you have to go to the Old Testament theme park." And he's like, you go and like, "This is the Garden of Eden," and then you go on like Noah's Ark, and it's like rock. It's like they only got as far as Moses because then they ran out of money. So they the rest of the time.
Did he have a big cathedral though?
Oh, I mean, it was a university. Yeah, it was a school.
Well, I knew it was a school, but I thought
I could tell you one thing. It wasn't for him, but it was for another evangelist. And I'm not quite sure which it is, but I had a temp job because I used to temp jobs when uni. And one of my temp jobs, which I lasted for about a day with, is that basically they locked us into a room with cameras around us. And there was these lectures of people sending this evangelist money and like, "Please pray for this person because they're dying of cancer, not sending money." And what they used to do is you used to have to take the money, put it in one pile. The letters go into a trash bag. And when I asked them what do you do with a trash bag, they go, "Oh, we pray over it." It's like, yeah, fucking hell. What?
Oh, bullshit.
Over the dumpster. And then they're taking the money. It was like
You know
that.
what's
That's
really
what you did
sad?
all day.
That's like taking
Separate the
people's
money and the checks. That's what you did.
That's why I can't stand any of that. It's like taking people's hopes and dreams. And I'm especially the elderly or the desperate who has a sick child with cancer. And it's like Jim Jones. He used to have people vomit up liver to make it look like they coughed up the cancer. You know, his was quite the tale. But I mean, I like how they actually went after this, because regular soap operas like General Hospital, even just recently, actually did something what they call theirs the dawn of day or something like that. But these cults still exist, and they do prey on children. They're still out there. They're not as numerous, I don't think. But I mean, if you can imagine it, there's somebody out there doing it. And I thought I found it kind of not so much heartwarming, but Billy, he was kind of smart. He knew he didn't want to be brainwashed, because he gives the raspberries to those guys and it's Robert Englund. I was so shocked. I didn't even remember. It's like Robert Englund, and he's still in the same business. He's torturing young teenagers. I was like going, that's Robert Englund. I did not know.
Well, Billy just wants to get laid anyway. I mean, that's the reason why he got involved.
Oh, anyway. Yeah. I mean, what won't a teenage boy do to get laid back in the day, you know? Yeah. What won't any man do at this point? But I mean, it was Robert Englund, and this has got to be one of his first things. Did it 77, 78? I know he was in other stuff, but I never knew he was on this.
I think he went into V after this.
V?
Remember the miniseries V about the lizard people? Who
was that down in the 80s?
That came like after this, a couple years later.
I vaguely remember. I was out having fun. I didn't watch TV in the 80s. I went to the movies, but I wasn't a big TV person.
V was fantastic in its day.
I watched it. I don't remember it. I remember that I thought the makeup was weird. I thought it was different. I mean, it was ahead of its time.
They're saying that they're going to help people, and then they take over everything like a military state, and they're harvesting people and using Earth resources. But Robert Englund was like the lovable, stupid alien who was like on the people's side.
Oh shit! I gotta look that back up again. I was just really surprised that he was on soap. I was laughing. I was telling my husband, I go, oh look, it's Robert Englund. He's in soap. I go, I didn't remember this. I go, he's still beating on teenage children. But I mean, it was just nice to recognize his face. You know, It was a nice little Easter egg, I guess you'd call it.
Nice. Good seeing Robert Englund.
But I mean, you can't. But I mean, when you're talking about this episode, you can't leave out the blackface. I'm sorry. You want to talk funny. I mean, you got all four of these idiots. Well, not Benson, you know, and they're all in blackface in the kitchen at the Tate's house. And Jessica comes in. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, Benson. I didn't know you were entertaining." And they all have those hats on, and they look stupid. They just look positively stupid. But I mean, then you still got Chester and Donahue at it. They're beating each other up still, only they're in blackface. I mean, you can't keep. It's just some funny writing. I can't even describe it. And to do so, it isn't even giving it justice. You just got to watch it.
And why would you take the major anywhere with you? I don't understand. Why would you bring the major with you?
Because he gave that big pat and pep talk like he knew what he was talking about there for a minute. For a minute, you thought he was cognate, you know, and that he actually got his shit straight for a second. And then all of a sudden, nope.
I mean, even with Corinne's baby, he sits there and goes, it's like, you know, I hate it when soldiers cry all night long. It's like what a baby.
He brought in all the sandbags. He was going to make a den or burrow or whatever.
So he just pops up and it's just so random. It's just like,
I don't know if they intended that to be blackface, but I know you can't get away with kidding now. I'm surprised that they even allow it to be viewed, the cancel culture, because I'm sorry, I got to say the name. Some of the stuff is just brilliant. It's fun. Nobody gets hurt. Everybody is made fun of equally. And it's just something. I mean, I am so glad just to even revisit all this stuff, because I had forgotten how much fun it really was to watch. And I remember my brothers watching it all the time. They're a little older than me, so they liked it. And I remember watching it. It's just, you know, it's the late 70s. You got to kind of jumpstart your brain. But I liked how, you know, they got Danny. But Danny at this point, not Danny, but Billy. Billy's, you know, he's neglected. Let's face it, he's neglected. He sees a beautiful girl, and they use beautiful girls to lure men or whatever, you know, like sailors into the rocks. And then that's what they actually do. I mean, like Charles Manson used to do. That's how he got a lot of his followers.
No.
You know, he would send the girls out and the girls would do their thing and bring people back.
Precisely. Normally other women though, because he didn't really like having a lot of men around because he liked to have sex with all the women, didn't he? For some reason.
Yeah, very few men. Very few men he had around. That's true.
Yeah.
And that takes us to our final scene, which is Burt, which is another one. I mean, there's probably just nothing about any of this block I dislike. Burt sees a flying saucer, but Danny doesn't believe him. And Burt begs Mary to believe that he really did see a UFO. And then Burt is abducted by aliens. Burt is taken to the alien ship where they tell him that they plan to replace him with a replica. And his alien double is called Alien Burt, who teleports to Earth and moves in with the unsuspecting Mary. Alien Burt is like a sexual juggernaut with Mary. The real Burt meets Saul, another captive of the aliens who claims to have been captured by them 4,000 years ago. Another great storyline, another perfect, mulligan
what's
scene.
quite funny is that I remember when this storyline came out, and then you're kind of watching it, and it's really, really funny. And I think it's a year or two later. Remember the Colbys?
Yes.
And didn't one of the Colbys get abducted by aliens?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, Emma Samms gets abducted by aliens. It's kind of like, oh my god! It's like they didn't take that away from soap. Because it's like, and at that time the Colbys are supposed to be like a serious,
right. I remember Emma Samms being in that. She left General Hospital to be on that for a while. She did come back, however. But yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about the Colbys. Was that a spinoff?
No, Dynasty.
Of Dynasty, it was a spinoff.
Yeah.
Everybody on that show was carved out of cream cheese. They were just perfect.
Well, look at Maxwell Caulfield. He was good looking.
Oh my God. I had such a crush on him when I was a young girl.
Well, I mean, he looked fantastic in Grease too. So
did he age well?
Yeah, he's aged very, very well. He still acts here. He's still around here.
Oh, he's still around. That's right. He was British, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's married to Juliette Mills. Nanny and the Professor?
Oh, that's right. He did marry her. She was a little older than him, wasn't she?
20 years older. They're still together.
No kidding. That's fantastic.
So he's Haley Mills' brother-in-law.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But Burt,
what do you think?
Burt you can't. I mean, let's face it. You can't. If you're going to abduct someone out of soap, the best person you can abduct is Burt.
Oh, I know. He's standing there straight up on that bed. And then he's just looking around. He starts doing that woof, woof, woof stuff with his eyes. He starts going up and down. He's doing the looks. I mean, just even if he doesn't say a word, just the physical humor is there. Mm. I mean, I just wish he was still alive. I totally love that guy. There's just so much so much more he could have done. There's so many people that are gone. It's so sad. But this story, I mean, like I said, there's so much of this you can't really describe. It's easier to describe Dark Shadows because it's a drama. But it's almost like Monty Python when me and Chad and everybody were trying to do Monty Python. Was it The Life of Brian or was it The Holy Grail? I can't remember. But it's so funny and convoluted. You can't really keep it compartmentalized and you can't describe it. You have to watch it.
Yeah. Another thing about soap is that soap is very, very quick. They turn storylines around very, very quick.
Oh, it's fast. It's very fast.
I mean, the series lasted for 4 years. And to be honest, it's probably good that it did because the way they're going through storylines is so quick. They probably would have run out.
They probably would have run out. But it's sort of like, I wouldn't call it like a Netflix thing. I think once you realized you might as well peek out. They did leave it kind of hanging though. There's no point in going into that.
Well, it
kind of took up in the first episode of Benson.
He got cold feet, so. Because of the subject matter and everything that they were dealing with, ABC got cold feet. It wasn't because of ratings, is that they thought, oh, they're a bit too edgy for us. So that's why they got canceled. It
was getting edgy. And I think that, didn't AIDS was coming out right about then too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was coming out. And, and we were becoming the 70s.
You think we were becoming aware is the word, not woke, but aware?
Well, you got to remember, we're going into the 80s, and what happened in the 80s, we became conservative again.
Yeah.
You know, we went from free love.
I don't know how much conservative. I don't know what you were. I know we kind of lived in the same area, but I don't think it. I think politics was conservative, and I guess, but Hollywood, has Hollywood ever been conservative? Really?
It is conservative as far as like if you look at everything, it's you know, if you look at the TV shows and everything that was coming out. I mean, okay, yeah, I mean there was a there was a counterculture going on, which I think you and I were part of, sort of thing, as far as music and things like that.
Right.
If you look at you know, and of course there was like independent cinema and independent labels and all that stuff going on at the same time, and VHS probably opened things up as far as that goes.
Right.
But you got to remember, it was the time of the yuppie, and the yuppies were fucking conservative. You know what I mean?
So, they were. I lived in Boston towards the end of the 80s for a while, and it was yuppified. It was really yuppified.
Yeah. And they, you know, you got to remember, you had all the men in their gelled hair and their business suits, and all the women in their, you know, their bobs, walking around with their little pearls, and you know,
young, upwardly mobile professionals.
To be honest, outside they were very, very conservative, but you know, behind closed doors they were wacky as fuck. You know, they were all coked up. You know what I mean? But
well, that was the age of cocaine. Okay.
Yeah,
like,
but you know, but the image that they gave outside of that wasn't, you know,
well, cocaine was the cool drug for the very edgy, young, upwardly mobile. You didn't want to, you know, just smoke pot or get pissing drunk. You know, you had to have the fun stuff.
And you also got to remember is also that, you know, the 70s was, you know, you had 70s was wife swapping and everything like that. And then everything went back to be the nuclear family values. That's what Reagan was, family values.
He was all family values.
And then, you know, but he had Parkinson's, so what did we know? So
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's had it for a while, but you didn't know about it, did we?
No, but it's quite scary thinking that he had his finger on the button.
Well, his finger wasn't on it.
But even in England, I mean, they had Thatcher. It was Thatcher and Reagan, wasn't it?
Well, look who we got right now with their finger on the red button. Holy shit!
Yeah, you know, we go through periods of this where everything's like kind of free, and then we go through this conservatism, and then we go free again. So
yeah, but I mean, but you know, I think we had just enough. What was it? The 60s, wasn't it? Barney and his wife out of New Hampshire started with the alien abduction thing. They were a mixed couple out of New Hampshire.
Yeah, that's, you know. I mean, you know, when it comes to UFOs, I like the idea of it, but I don't understand that if there are aliens coming down and anal probing people, why are they always like really stupid hillbillies? Why don't they go to like Harvard or Yale or Princeton and like abduct someone? Why are they always you know, abducting two rednecks having sex in the back of an RV? I mean, I don't understand. It's just like,
well, for the most part, you're not going to see them out in the middle of nowhere. You know, and I have actually seen weird shit. I don't know about you, but we've all seen weird shit, especially in the middle of winter. And I was 16 years old, saw something really strange. Still don't know what it was. It wasn't the Air Force, but everybody I've talked to, at least some, I mean, and it doesn't have to be an alien craft. It could be like something you just don't know what it is.
I'm not talking about alien abduction. It's like, you know, so we never hear anyone being there. First of all, they all talk like this, like, yeah, I've been annually probed, and they grabbed Millie, and I didn't even know where I was. And 5 days later, I showed up, and it's like I was gone like yesterday. It's like I've been anally probed. You're like,
I don't know why they'd want to anally probe anybody, but I guess they want to know about our bodily functions. And people have said they've actually taken fetuses out of their bodies or put fetuses into their. I mean, it gets really bizarre. I mean, it gets bizarre.
It does get bizarre, but it always seems to be people who are not the brightest. That's the thing. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, I mean, you know, if it was like, I mean, let's sit there and say that. Let's say that, I don't know. Let's say that it was someone who, you know, a professor at Harvard, and then he told me that. It's just a lot easier. Like, oh, you know, excuse me.
You think it'd be easier coming from a Harvard professor than a hillbilly?
I don't, you know, I'm not saying that it's not happening. It just doesn't. I just think if I was an alien race and I was going to abduct people, I'd probably abduct like the brightest people in the world, like who I thought was very, very bright, that I would gain, you know, not only biological knowledge, because let's face it, very, very intelligent people have the same biologicalness that we have, but then you'd be able to hear their minds and what exactly is going on. I don't know if I would really want to go after someone who's basically sleeping with his sister and his mom and his aunt are the same person. So,
Yeah, kind of.
If I was going to like an alien planet and I was going to abduct some alien life force, I'm not sure. I'd probably I try to look for the most educated, probably for my own research.
Well, Burt's not really a redneck. He's just one of those guys that happened to be in the wrong place, I think, at the wrong time. And what's kind of funny about it is nobody believes him. But everybody's laughing at him because he thought he was invisible just a few months before. So no one who's going to believe Burt, that he's abducted by space aliens. And they're all short little aliens.
We also have to remember that, it's only a year ago that Burt thought he was invisible.
Right. He thought he was invisible. And so Danny's the only one that seems to have any compassion for him. And I don't know why, really, to tell you the truth. Maybe because he's been so good to Danny. I don't know. But he was there and he knows.
Jody likes Burt a lot as well, though. He's come around.
Yeah. Of course, Bob's going to,
Yeah.
Bob the doll, who's not even a real human being, but you talk about him like he is, and everybody thinks he's real after a while because.
Another thing is, do you consider that Chuck is actually Burt's real son? Chuck doesn't really see much. So.
They don't talk much. But there's no really backdated story on him, too. I wish there was.
No, basically Chuck shows up because he's coming to live with his dad, and then there's never that closeness. We had Burt going up, about the death of Peter.
Yeah, he's closer to Mary's boys than he is.
Yeah, so they never really developed the Chuck Bob Burt thing, really. But then again, it's kind of hard to get. It's kind of really hard. It's kind of hard to get close to Chuck because you have to go through Bob to get the Chuck. But I do love when Chuck and Bob are reading, and Bob's like reading, and then looks at Chuck, go, "Are you done yet?" He turned the page. So, but as far as going back to the alien thing, I love the alien storyline. I think it's fantastic. But in reality, sometimes I'm kind of wondering about people who have been abducted in real life.
Was it they meet Saul? He's 4,000 years old, and he told him he wrote Genesis or Exodus. He wrote the book of Exodus, I think, because you aren't that old. They said the better part of the storyline is Burt goes down there and he starts hopping around like an alien when he sees Mary, and then he starts grabbing Jessica. He hasn't had sex in 2,000 years, the replica Burt. And he's screwing Mary to death. He won't leave her alone. He says he's coming home for lunch. I think after a while it starts to get tedious in following episodes because he won't leave her alone.
I need to go shopping.
Was it Jessica's eye? He's quite exuberant today, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a really good storyline. It kind of ends our our.
Well, actually, this is the beginning of season 3, so.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see where it goes. It ended quite well there, so I think.
Yeah, we will. For you, what was your favorite storyline? Your not so favorite storyline?
My not favorite storyline has to be Eunice and Dutch, only because I quite liked it, but it didn't. I guess it just seems like to be a fill-in storyline, so I wasn't really that more invested. Though I love Dutch and I love Eunice.
Yeah, same.
Because it's kind of like, but it's only because there's so much big things going on behind the scenes, sort of thing. And my favorite storyline's got to be the possession. I love the baby possession storyline.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's tied that with the Burt alien abduction, but I think with the possession, it's a bit more. It's a more fuller storyline because it's on the same block where the alien abduction is like we're at the beginning of it, so we kind of end our block in the middle of it. So.
Right. Yeah, I have to go with you on the Eunice and Dutch storyline. Not that they're not brilliant actors or it's well written. It just doesn't really do a whole lot. And it is like filler storyline, like most soap operas will do. And it really, I'd have to say, well, the toss up like you said, we're just coming into the alien stuff with Burt, but it has to be the baby and the exorcism. You've got all of the characters involved pretty much, and it's comical as hell. Everybody gets in on it, and it's just a great storyline, and it's just funny. But I mean, it's followed second by going to rescue Billy, but we haven't really finished that either, have we?
And I like it. Just not quite. It does end with basically. I mean, we do end that storyline at a cliffhanger as well. I mean, they get captured by the movies, and that's it. So we don't see where we go after.
Right,
that.
right.
But that's a good storyline as well. So I think.
Who was your favorite, or maybe your least favorite, or did you have any?
My favorite's going to be Dinah Manoff, only because she leaves, and it left a little bit of a hole in this thing because you kind of wonder, like, what would she have been like during the alien, during the alien abduction? What would she have been like, during the possession, and what would she have been like during the whole Mary and Burt off again relationship there? Because she would have had she would have given her sense, and it would have been nice to see that gelling going on. And when she left, it's just like, oh, I really liked her and I missed her. So I'm going to count her as my favorite, only because she's gone. I miss her not being in it. But I'm a huge Dinah Manoff fan anyway. If you listen to our interview, you heard me blubbering around.
Oh, I know. I think she liked you a lot too.
So yeah, and my least favorite character, I'm having a difficult time warming to Donahue.
I am too. I don't know why. I there's something about him that irritates me.
Yeah,
maybe it's because he's a catalyst or something of some sort. Protagonist, antagonist.
I think because he's kind of I think we're supposed to find him funny, and I don't find him that funny. I find him stupid. The other ones I find Burt does stupid stuff, but there's an intelligence to the stupid stuff that he does, and he's very funny. And even when he's doing all the physical humor, and even with the lines that he's saying and the way his face goes and everything like that, Burt is funny. Burt's just plain funny. Chester is funny. Donahue, I don't find him funny. I'm just like when he falls on top of on Jessica, or the three-legged thingy, or when he says something. And then and you hear kind of like the studio audience kind of laugh, and it's like, I'm not laughing. It's just like, and I'm just like, and maybe it's just the tan corduroy suit. Maybe it's that.
I always hated corduroy.
I'm just, I'm not warm to him. I don't find him funny, and I don't know. It's just, there's something about, it's not that I dislike him. It's just that I don't know why he's there. Why he's still hanging around, sort of thing. Because it's almost like we think it's almost like someone there thinks, oh, he's so brilliant, he's so funny, we got to keep this actor. And I'm like,
right, yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, same. Yeah. I would have to say Burt is my favorite character, but the honorable mention to Dinah Manoff, because I just loved her in all these, because she went from this to that. But Burt is so funny, whether he's written funny that way or he just looks funny. He's just one of those people, you just laugh at him as soon as he starts twitching. I don't know why. His physical is just the physical acting alone, where he does the faces and stuff and he starts shaking. I just can't stop laughing. And he didn't even have a line sometimes. He just starts moving. And he's just one of those people you just can't stop laughing at. And I just can't wait to see the rest of the alien storyline. I'm looking forward to that. And I have to go with Donahue as well, because I can't find anything to dislike about any of the other characters at all.
It's such a super strong cast. And the thing is, you can actually put all their faces on a wheel and just spin the wheel, and whoever comes up outside of, I'm talking about the main characters,
right?
Whoever comes up, they're fantastic. You can't fault any of them.
I know it's hard to find somebody you don't like on any of it. It's just almost impossible. Out of all the shows we've watched, this one is the hardest to find someone I don't like.
I mean, Tim's irritating, but he's very, very good, and he's funny.
Yeah, and he's essential with Corrine right now. So he's they're playing off each other really well.
I love Corrine as well. I think she's brilliant.
I love her. She's so good at doing what she does. I mean, just right down from being, chasing the priest to being the town whore or whatever she's doing.
And I guess another thing with Donahue, I guess, for argument's sake, is that normally when they bring a character in, they're very strong. Like Dutch. Dutch is a strong
Dutch
character.
is very strong.
I love Dutch. Even though like he started out one way and his characters evolved to something else. And Tim, character started out one way and evolved.
Right.
Donahue character doesn't evolve at all so far. And he's been in a lot of episodes. I'd say he's probably been in more episodes than Dutch has.
I just think he's a love interest,
Yeah, but he just doesn't seem to fit into the pattern of the comedy and stuff like this. And it's like, even like when Chester starts crying because he gets the wrong note, and then they switch notes, and then we get Donahue's reaction, and it's kind of pales
a little. I don't hate him. I mean, I've seen him in other things. What's the actor's name? Oh.
I don't know. He's ginger, so I don't remember.
He's ginger. You and your ginger. God, you're not into gingers.
I've seen him in other things, and he's normally a day player. He'll pop up in like a one episode thing, and he just one of these actors just kind of appears, but he never appears for long.
No,
but here he's in there. He's in a lot of episodes, and it just doesn't.
I was kind of hard watching him with Jessica. So, I think they even knew that the audience probably wanted Chester to be back with Jessica,
I just think that if they found someone that was funny, good looking, and a strong actor, maybe, or someone who's strong, who's able, I think Soap is a hard show to do. I don't think Soap is an easy show to do. I think it's really, really hard to be able to do physical comedy, say the lines, be lovable, do really stupid things, but still remain and still become someone that you look at and you admire. And I think Soap is a really hard show to be able to do this kaleidoscope of everything that you have to do. And I think that with Donahue, I think it's kind of miscast. I think that they could have dealt with someone like who would have been really, really good would have been the guy. Do you remember when Jody's trying to commit suicide?
Yeah.
And he's in the hospital with Rhoda's dad.
Oh my God, yes, I love it.
Someone like that, which basically you could have played off all these hormones. And then when Jessica's making a decision, you'd be like, oh, this is a really hard one. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's not a horrible person or a horrible actor or anything like that. It's just that I think if he was in another kind of show, he probably would be fine. But with a show with this strong of actors, I think it's really, really hard to shine. You have to be bloody up at your game. You got to be fantastic.
It's almost impossible to find something about anybody you don't like on the show. I mean, literally almost impossible.
Even Boss Hogg as the crime boss. You remember him?
Yes, that is him. I was going nuts trying to figure out. It's like, I know that actor. I couldn't remember it.
But even Carol's mom is fantastic, and she's only in 2 episodes. Are you a homo?
Are you a homo?
Drink lemonade? Even Millie, who hits Danny, and she's brilliant as well. It's like they have such brilliant one-timers coming in, or Tim's mom.
Yeah.
Doris Roberts. Oh, you're fantastic. And so then when you get this other actor who can't even outlive the people, who's not as good as the people they get in for like 1 or 2 days, 2 episodes. So yeah, I guess I slagged Donahue off a lot. So
yeah, well, I wasn't going to slag him off that badly, but I mean, like you said, I mean, it's a very strong cast. And if you are going to be on here for a short stint, I guess you're right. You got to find your capacity to shine, because that's hard. That you're right. Yeah. It is very hard. And I guess it looks easy because we laugh at it so much and we find it so enjoyable that it doesn't, but it looks like it's a challenge to write. They do it well though.
Even when we interviewed Jessica Salt and Dinah Manoff, they said they were really fantastic in their roles. They said that because of everyone they were around, they never felt like they were. Yeah. I don't see that. I mean, they did, but I don't see that at all. If they're listening, I think they're just as brilliant as everybody on that cast. I mean, Robert Guillaume, Billy Crystal, Ted Voss as Danny. Jessica, Catherine Hellman and Catherine Damon, who plays Mary, Diana Canova. These are very freaking. This is like a stellar cast.
It seems like a once in a lifetime cast too.
Yeah.
It's like Golden Girls. That's a once in a lifetime cast.
And Golden Girls only had 4 people in it. This one has. This is a large cast.
Yeah, it's very big. It seems like a handful.
They got the best supporting character, the best cast of supporting characters to be main characters in any show, I think.
So far, and I haven't seen anything compared to it.
No,
not at all. So this brings us to the end of our Literary License I can't talk today, podcast retrospective of Soap Season 2, episodes 34 to 49. Tune in next time to where we'll be discussing our Masters of Horror book to screen, where we'll be doing Peter Straub's Ghost Story and the film of the same name, directed by John Irwin. That was 1981, I believe.
Yep.
And we will all be returning to Soap for our next episode in the new year of January 2022. That sounds so weird coming out of my mouth. Where we will continue our Soap retrospective. So it's good night from myself. Good night, everybody. And good night from Keith.
Good night, y'all. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Y'all have a good weekend.
I'm going to go anally probe. Anally probe out in the middle of nowhere.
Goodbye, Keith.
They returned last night unanswered. Questions torture me. Like how they unlocked the door. Why is my rectum sore? Why do I twitch when I watch E.T.? Alien abduction probe happens all over the globe. They came and scratched their itch, left me crying in a ditch. It's all so cruel and cold. They put my life on hold. This crap is getting old. Alien abduction probe. They stuck a microchip in the hole between my hips. Such a gross indignity. Involuntary cornholation, courtesy of the alien nation. Why do they always come for me? I said, alien abduction probe happens all over the globe. They came and scratched their itch, left me crying in a ditch. It's all so cruel and cold. They put my life on hold. This crap is getting old. Alien abduction probe. Let me probe you one time, Roxanne. Late at night, I wait alone, staring at the twilight zone, with a sawed-off shotgun in my hand. Drinking cheap wine, getting plastered, waiting for those gray-green bastards. It's the only way to make them understand. Oh, alien abduction probe happens all over the globe. They came and scratched their itch, left me crying in a ditch. It's all so cruel and cold. They put my life on hold. This crap is getting old. Alien Abduction Pro.